I'm going to introduce to our audience here on WowBiz Nebraska a new business magazine, right, that exists to serve the business community throughout the entire state of Nebraska.
It's an online magazine?
It's a digital magazine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be printed and distributed that way. It'll be a digital magazine. And so I'm going to show the audience right now what the cover of the first month's magazine looks like. And as you might be able to see right now, the cover and the name of the magazine is New Momentum.
Yes.
Kind of a cool name.
I like that.
I like that. I mean, why in the world would you make a change and start reading even more with some, unless it gives you a sense of momentum and it's got new, fresh ideas?
Yeah, you wouldn't want old momentum.
No, that'd be bad. Now, what people may not realize, certainly you do, is that this magazine will be ensconced or embedded, showcased inside of Newbraska.com. This is an offshoot of or a part of the Newbraska.com, but you don't have to be a member of Newbraska.com to read New Momentum. Right. And also, in contrary to most magazines, it won't have just text-written articles, right? It'll also have videos, and it'll have audio podcasts.
Wow.
So
a lot of content.
Multimedia, a lot of content, and every single course, as we all know, every single member of the ecosystem known as Newbraska will have these things provided every single month. Could be videos, articles, podcast interviews, whatever. But they're going to have a lot of great media about them and their company, and it's all going to be woven into trend articles that are, again, embedded inside of New Momentum magazine.
So it's real content.
Real
marketing.
Content about Nebraska companies and the trends that are shaping their destiny. Huh. And so we're very excited about New Momentum magazine. We hope everybody wants to read, look, listen to the magazine. Can you imagine listen to a magazine? You know, it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it?
It sounds like, yeah. It doesn't.
Yeah, so anyway, New Momentum magazine, we're proud of it, and we hope that you look it up and refer to New Momentum magazine as you do your social media postings, and you'll enjoy it, and maybe you'll even get involved with Newbraska down the road.
Well, the fact that something is that rich of a meal, so to speak, that's unusual these days because there's a lot of fluff out there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But you know, there's an underscoring point that you're making here, which is business can be approached a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and when I used to do interviews for the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and then we put 4 interviews a week up on iTunes. It was called iTunes University. Okay. And there were 700-800 colleges that were in this section of iTunes. Huh. And of course, as you would imagine, Harvard was the most listened to, and then MIT and Wharton, Stanford, and so on. They were the top, you know,
right,
that everybody would go and listen to whatever the business content was. And inside of 2 months, I was working with the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Now I be in Lincoln, Nebraska every week, interviewing entrepreneurs around the state of Nebraska. They'd drive into Lincoln, and we'd go to NETV and shoot, you know. Right. And then we would have 4 interviews uploaded every single week.
Wow.
Okay. So after 2 months, what's that, like 8 times 4? About 30, 35 interviews were up. Google was going crazy and lifting up UNL, lifting up these interviews because they had titles and keywords. Sure. And I got this phone call one day, and they said, come down to Lincoln. We want to chat with you. And, you know, there was nothing out of the ordinary. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, maybe they're going to fire me. I don't know, you know. And I got to Lincoln, and the whole production crew was there. The client support staff. There was an ad agency that had created the logo for the show. They were there. It was very weird. And they're all standing there kind of like, it would have been 20 people in the room.
Wow.
And they said, Lynn, we want to tell you. And I'm like, what's up, everybody, you know? And they said, well, here's the thing. After only 2 months, the University of Nebraska in Lincoln's interviews that you are spearheading have now become #1 in all of iTunes University, knocking down Harvard, MIT, Wharton Business School, Stanford. None of them could compete with the cumulative uploading of these interviews from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had no idea, you know, I mean, I didn't know what to say, and thank you, and it's great, and I'm enjoying it, and, you know, let's sign up for another consulting gig, right? But Yeah, so that was very interesting. But the point of it, I think strategically for our audience is this, is that if you can be an expert and be perceived as an expert, or frankly be platforming an expert, or assisting somebody becoming known as an expert, just in that whole thought leadership vein, today's customer will go, hey, these guys are good. They know what they're talking about.
They gravitate towards that.
They gravitate towards people. It's respect. And but my job was, as you might guess, was to try to keep it not dry. And I think some of the Harvard stuff was a little dry.
Yeah.
Smart, very smart, but maybe a little boring.
You didn't have a tweed jacket with a pipe?
No, let me pontificate on that. No, it wasn't like that at all. And I think that really was the key, frankly. A lot of the MBAs and people like that were gravitating to something a little more
academic.
Edutainment, infotainment.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. Anyway, so anyway, I want to thank you for that. Hey, look, I'll keep you up to date on how New Momentum is doing.
Yeah, this looks really interesting.
Should be very good. And our lead-in story is how to benefit from joining an online ecosystem. And let me just say, Bruce, the next time we visit, in a couple of weeks here, we're going to dive deep into what is an ecosystem, a business ecosystem. Why would you want to do that? And it's a brand new business model.
Why is it called that?
Why is it called that?
Right.
And 4 out of 5 of the global brands, 4 to 5 of the largest brands in the world are growing double digit because of their involvement in ecosystems. Isn't that interesting? And so here we are in the state of Nebraska, and we're going to kind of steal that concept,
right?
That what they call a platform is another way to think about it, and bring it into the entire state of Nebraska, and let some of the leaders and the more proactive business owners in our state jump on board, and they can enjoy double-digit growth as well. We'll talk about how that works.
Interesting to talk about.
Very interesting.